What it is, what it do, cyber world. It's your girl, the one and only Ash Brown, and this is Ash Brown Uncensored. On this particular program, I talk a little bit about everything. It may be pop culture related, but it's probably Ash Brown related. So you gotta stay tuned to see what I'm gonna talk about. Okay, so as far as this goes, I'm having a bit of nostalgia today, I'm thinking about the olden days, the 80s, and something that keeps popping up on my timeline for whatever reason. I don't know, I guess maybe my subconscious or whatever is pulling me back to the days of Punky Brewster. The Punky Brewster. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, wow, what an impactful show. A show like that is very important because representation matters. And in that aspect of representation, in the 80s, there weren't a lot of shows that the main character was a child. And Punky Brewster being the center of her show, and the cartoon, of course, is really big for me growing up to see another young person on screen that's not an adult, because the programming was really centered towards adults and preteens and teenagers and young, old adults too, not just the young ones. But to have a show where you could see other little kids interacting, acting, and stuff like that, it was very groundbreaking for me. And that's one of the main reasons that I love that show. And the 80s were all about teaching you life lessons. They were always, this is a very special episode. There were a lot of shows in the 80s that had children characters. They were usually supporting, secondary. But to have the main character to be a child, that was big. Because that was slowly but surely opening kids' minds to the idea that you literally can be anything that you want to be. If you put your mind to it, if you really push forward for that particular goal, you can make it happen. And that's what Punky Brewster was to me. And to have her just be was really big for me. I remember just being super, super excited just to watch all the different hijinks unfold with the show and to see how Punky Power is going to come into play. You never knew. But also as an adult now, I have my other side of my brain working. I'm like, okay, how was Punky an orphan, but she had a pet dog? How could that be? Like, if you're an orphan, how are you taking care of an animal? How are you feeding this animal? I mean, you don't even know if you're getting food yourself. And I don't fully remember the story. I'd have to look back and look at those episodes to get the full context, because as a kid, you don't really know what's going on. You're just watching the show, you're being entertained, and you don't necessarily have the mental faculties to fully digest the story as which is unfolding in front of you. And so as an adult, now I'm thinking of all the logistics of things. I'm like, how is she an orphan? I don't even remember the story of how she became an orphan. How does she have a dog? How did Henry just take her in like that? And I don't fully remember, but I feel like someone from her biological family came back into play, whether it was her mother or somebody, and got her towards the end of the show. I don't remember, but I'd have to look it up. I'd have to look that up, but it was a very groundbreaking show for me to see children interacting, and then to have children of color on the show as well. Sherry, shout out to Cherry Garden, you know what I'm saying? Or Sherry Johnson, Sherry Johnson. Shout out to Sherry Johnson. She is out and about across social, and always just putting out good energy, good messages to people. Having her on there is just like, wow, a person, not only a little person, a child, but a child of color on television. Wow, and she's a main character. That was big, groundbreaking. In the 80s, I remember there were a lot of television shows, and I would watch a lot with my mom, but I can't necessarily say that I could fully understand the concept of what was happening or what was unfolding. I was just watching it with her because I was just happy to just watch TV. She was just like, well, at least I'm not asleep. At least I'm not in bed. At least I'm not in trouble. You know, I can watch TV, but didn't really have the full understanding of what I was indeed watching. So, but no, Punky Brewster, groundbreaking show. Loved it. Absolutely love it to this day. And maybe I want to do some research and look up and see, how did Punky become an orphan? And then also what happened to her at the end? Because like Henry didn't just like adopt her like immediately. I think she was breaking into his house or something to get something to eat or something like that. I don't remember exactly how they met, and I got to go back and look at it now. But for him to just be like, oh yeah, this strange child can come stay with me. Nothing weird about that. Not related to her and don't know her family. But sure, she can come live with me. But that just goes to show you the the naive nature of kids in the 80s and stuff that we just accepted because it was just what was presented to us. Versus now, we ask more questions. We ask a lot more questions now than we did in the 80s. And I think that was really big. But yeah, Punky Power. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great, fantastical week ahead. I appreciate all the love and support. And have a purposeful, productive, and peaceful week ahead. Good energy. We're claiming that. We're claiming it. We're putting it out into the world, and it's going to come back to us. It's coming back. Peace, understanding, good energy, good vibrations. Anyways, I love you guys. Have a great week.